here in Nairobi as we fashion solutions for the challenges that face our nations and our continent, and providing global solutions to global challenges. We're very proud on behalf of the government and people of Kenya of this investment, and we look forward to working together. Mr. Secretary General.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, this complex would not be possible without the enormous generosity and hospitality of the government and people of Kenya. The government of Kenya has been absolutely essential to create the conditions to allow for the biggest campus in the UN globally to offer to the United Nations exceptional conditions to work and to serve the people we care for in Africa and around the world. Dear President William Ruto, thank you very much for what has been a continued support and a strong investment in allowing the UN to be able to be present here. Dynamism, with enthusiasm, and with the will to contribute to the Africa that you have just described. And indeed, we want to be part of this transformational Africa strategy that is overcoming once for all what was the legacy of colonialism. I usually say that Africa was a double victim of colonialism. First of all, because of what colonialism represented in itself and the suffering that it brought. But second, because of the legacy of for a continent in which the infrastructure that had been built was not to connect the Africans among themselves, was not to develop the African economy, it was to allow for the extraction of African resources to the benefit of developed countries. And I see today in Africa, in its use, in its dynamism, its initiative, a will that once and for all end that legacy and create an African continent with a role among equals in the international community. And I have to say that I'm also enthusiastic about the commitment that I see in African governments, not only to advocate for justice in international relations, but to mobilize their own national resources for the benefit of the development of their countries. Having said so, my voice will remain loud and clear in saying that we live in a situation that is deeply unfair. It is not acceptable that African countries pay more than 3 times more than developed countries in order to obtain the loans they need for the development. Many of these countries with a more solid financial situation and better development perspectives than developed countries that obtain resources with much lower cost. This is absolutely unacceptable. On the other hand, the truth is that because in 1945 Africans were not at the table, the institutions, the Security Council of the United Nations, the Bretton Woods system, the essential institutions of governance in the world were done without an African presence. And Africa paid a huge price for that. And that is the reason why we are claiming that there will be no justice before there will be permanent African members in the Security Council, and there will be no justice before Africa has its right share in the quotas of the IMF or in the capital of the World Bank or in the many other institutions, for the African interests to be much more seriously taken into account by the international financial architecture. And the African continent can count on me. I will always be at your side to correct injustices and to make sure that the world recognizes that there is a price that the world must pay in order to overcome all the injustices that Africa has suffered, and to support what is now this transformational enthusiasm that I see in the African continent, and of which Kenya and the President of Kenya are two very clear examples. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency and Mr. Secretary General. Excellencies, distinguished guests, we have come to the end of this part of our program. The next segment will be the inauguration of the new officers by His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Mr. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General.